Welcome to another episode of the Glory Boys podcast, where we're here to help you think bigger. I'm one of your hosts, Austin.
And I'm Darren.
And I'm Trev. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any videos that we drop. Hit the bell for notifications and like this video. If you're listening to the audio versions, we would absolutely love it if you could leave us a rating on any platform that you're listening on. It helps us spread the word, get the show out to more people, and hopefully add more value.
Yes, and thank you guys so much for listening. We're super honored that you took the time to stop by and hang out with us. Today, if you're tuning in, we are joined by a friend that turned his hobby into a side hustle and his side hustle into a career. Please welcome our friend, our Canadian friend, Chris with Moonshine Gaming.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah, welcome to the pod.
Hello,
Hello.
y'all.
Happy to be here.
Dude. So we've had you on before. This was like, I don't know.
When was this actually?
Oh man,
time is a blur at this point.
It's been a couple years.
It's almost 2 years because it was in our old studio that we were in for 2 years, and then we just moved in here like 8 months ago. So
yeah, and you were like real early, or maybe not even in the process yet of. I know if I'm remembering correctly, you had aspirations and a vision to open a brick and mortar store, but I don't think you'd actually made really any progress in that direction.
No, at that point I wasn't even considering doing that anytime soon.
Got it.
Yeah, so I just found you because I love retro video games, and I saw all of your videos that you were posting about. You were kind of like showing like different Easter eggs in different videos, games, and stuff like that. And so people would comment, hey, review this game or play this game, and then you would show them, a secret something in one of those games. So I got a hold of that and watched the journey of that, and it was super fun for me because I love retro video gaming. But then I reached out to you, and we jumped on a pod, and the pod was terrible because our internet was so bad.
Yep,
dude, it was so bad.
And the camera that I don't even remember what the issue was, but I remember looking back at it and just everybody, because you sent me those clips. The social media 1 minute clips.
Yep.
And when I posted it on my social media, I was just getting ripped apart because everyone said it looked like I was being filmed by a potato.
Well, we're sorry. Dude. We're trying to do a better job, so
we're gonna do it right this time.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, man, just super stoked that you're here, and excited. A lot of things have happened in the last couple of years for you, for us, but you obviously we know enough about your journey. But for our listeners, could you just maybe share who you are, where you're from, and what you do, and just kind of get to know you a little bit?
Sure. So my name is Chris. I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I've been a retro video game collector pretty much my whole life. And before I started doing this full time, I was a DJ. And the way I would collect and add games to my collection without really having to spend a lot of money, I would buy in bulk and then I would sell off the stuff that I didn't have. So initially it was just to add games to my personal collection without having to spend a lot of money. But then I started to realize if I could do a little bit more work, spend a little bit more time, then I could start making a little bit of money doing this. So when I was DJing, I was also doing this on the side for the tail end of my DJ career to make a little bit of extra money. Then COVID shut all the bars down, and we were getting CERB checks in Canada. I don't know what they're called in the US. Was it called CERB in the US too?
Is that like unemployment?
Well, it was specifically check. Yeah, it was specifically for if you had lost your job.
A stimulus check.
Stimulus. Stimulus.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we got some of those.
In Canada, the CERB checks were specifically for people who had lost their jobs because of COVID.
Got it.
Yeah.
But nobody knew at that point what was going to happen. Like, were you going to have to pay them back? Nobody really knew what was going to happen. So I took one of those checks, and then I said to myself, I don't really want to have to rely on these.
Yeah.
So I decided to turn the side hustle, which was buying and selling video games, into full-time work online. So I started online. Built up a social media following because of being home all the time because of COVID. I was able to put a lot more time into creating content. So I built up my social media following at the same time as starting to do full-time resale online. And then I got really sick of being at home, and trying to find inventory out in the wild became a lot harder. It's very competitive. There's a lot of resellers in the GTA. So opening a storefront is nice because people will bring the inventory to you. So that was kind of when push turned to shove, and it's something that I wanted to do my whole life. So I couldn't find inventory as easily as I could before. And I had the inventory online to be able to bring a lot of it into the store. It was just the right time to make the move. And then I bit the bullet and decided to start looking for property. And here we are 6 months into being open.
Yeah. And you documented that whole kind of process, right? Of you finding a location and doing the build out and all of that. So for our listeners, make sure you go, follow him on social media. We'll put all the handles in the description down below. So make sure you check that out. You were posting every day for a while?
60 days.
Yeah, so the marketing plan was I didn't want to spend any money on marketing because this was already a money pit to begin to even open the storefront. So I was trying to pinch pennies any way that I could. And one of the ways was not having to spend any money on marketing and leveraging my social media following on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok for the initial marketing push of the store, which was opening a retro video game store in 60 days and doing a daily vlog the 60 days prior to opening the doors to the public.
So walk us through those 60 days. Like, are you, I would imagine they're like probably all like 14 plus hour days. Like, what does that look like when you're not only building out a store and launching a store, but also creating a vlog every single day? Like, what was your life like during those 60 days?
To be honest, the vlog was the worst part of it. It's really hard to remember to film that content.
I can relate.
Because any time that something interesting would happen, like the first thing that I would have to do is be like, oh, I need to film this. And I missed some good stuff, like some very stressful moments that would have made for interesting viewing. But it was just, I was like so in my own head with how stressed out I was at the time that I just wasn't thinking about filming. Right. But the hardest part was finding the property.
Wow.
And that was the first probably almost 30 days was just finding the property and locking it down. And then after that, the last 30 days of actually opening, I love the grind. So I don't care. I was working 16, 18 hour days every day to just get everything ready to go. But yeah, it was remembering to film was definitely the toughest part and finding the location.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
So I was just going to ask along the social aspect and leveraging the audience that you had, did you find yourself more thinking as far as the documentation goes, anything is better than nothing, or did you find yourself stressing about this content needs to be perfect or needs to look a certain way or things like that? Because I think a lot of what stops a lot of people from even doing something like that, trying to document something every day or once a week or whatever it may be, is they just get in over their head with kind of expectation, what they think it needs to look like, the quality that they think needs to be in it. And sometimes that stuff's really important. Other times it's not. So what was your approach to stepping into that? And did you have this did you have a standard? Sounds bad, but was it more of anything is better than nothing, let's just do this and figure it out? Or was it kind of more calculated?
It was not calculated at all.
I love that.
No, it was any time that anything semi-interesting was happening, I would try and get a little bit of footage, and then it was just throwing it all together. The thing was, I didn't have the time to be very particular about how it turned out. I just had to do whatever I could because it was such a busy time and such a time crunch. It was just filming anything that was semi-interesting throughout the days. But there was days when I'm like, there's nothing really cool going on here. And then I kind of have to figure something like one random cool thing to do or to add into the video to make it at least relatively interesting.
Sure.
Yeah, but I imagine you knew you had to do it. So I'm thinking as you're saying that, a lot of people are like, okay, well then why, if I don't have the time, then why prioritize it? Why even do it at all? But for you, you knew this was the marketing strategy, right? You had to do something and you didn't want to spend money on it. So I guess I was just maybe speak to that mindset of you've got to create something. Cause I'm really the opposite. I am very analytical. And if I don't think of something 10 times over before I press play, I'm stressed about it. And so often I wish I was the other way of just like press play and then figure it out. Yeah. So can you speak to the importance of that mindset in your specific situation? Like, had you just decided, I don't have time for this. This is like the last priority on my plate. You know what, that could have like shut the whole thing down.
Yeah, I think the fear of not doing well and having the initial push of the customer base was what would motivate me to continue to make content, even if I really did not want to.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, building up the social media channel up to that point, I can't remember who said it. It's either Gary V or Casey Neistat, and them just drilling into your head that you just need to like press record and just get your content out there. And that's how I approached the social media channels, and the growth of my social media channels was throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall and seeing what stuck, seeing what got good views. So initially I was just pulling out games for my personal collection, showing gameplay, and then people would be like, oh, do you have this game? And then I would go and do that. And that did well for a little while. And then I tried a few other things. And one of the things was the Easter eggs, which we were talking about earlier. Yeah. And the first one of that just absolutely blew up. It was like 500,000 views. And I'm like, okay, well, I just need to replicate this and milk this as long as humanly possible before it gets really old and boring.
Yeah.
So I was used to just like filming whatever and hoping for the best. So
yeah,
being able to do that. And then the fear of not having a good customer base when opening the doors. The fear was probably the biggest thing that would keep me motivated.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's genius. You know, it's one of our core values, like do the best with what you have. And that's exactly what you did of like, I don't have, you know, a huge marketing budget to throw at this. So what can I do that doesn't cost me money? Yeah. Maybe it costs a little bit of time, or a lot of bit of time actually rather. And so, yeah, just doing the best with what you have. And then I think, I don't know I'm sure there's a quote from Casey Neistat. I know Gary Vee talks about like document, don't create a lot of the time. And so I feel like that's really kind of what you did of like, you're just really bringing people in on the journey, and, you know, really what's not to like about that. I think it's authentic, you know, people can relate, people see, you know, somebody in a space that they're passionate about doing something really awesome. And so, I think I would love to hear like, you know, the store's open now. First of all, I guess, did that marketing strategy work, and how did the launch go?
Okay. Yeah, it went really well. We also planned it to open for the rush for Christmas too. So that was the whole reasoning behind opening in 60 days, because I needed to be open December 1st or I was going to be screwed, because January and February are two of the worst months for retail. So if I wasn't able to open the doors beginning of December,
great,
it just wouldn't make sense. And we were a week away from like when I locked down this property. If it had been one more week, I wouldn't have done it. I would have waited until probably around like March, April. And then I would have started to look for property again, because man, it would have been so bad starting in January as opposed to the beginning of December with the rush for Christmas.
Yep.
And is that just your intuition, your observation, or is that like through market study and just, you know, obviously that's a fairly business savvy thing to think of, like someone just trying to turn their hobby into this bigger thing. Maybe those are the things that don't come to mind right away is the strategy of even when to open the doors and why. Did that come from prepping yourself from that, or did it just come from like, I mean, pretty intuitive thinking?
It was just intuitive thinking and looking at online sales from doing it online for so long. Although online sales is not the same as in-person retail in the slightest.
Sure.
But I just thought like people are going to be spending more money in December. It's just common knowledge, really.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I want to back up briefly to just like the progress through this whole thing, because I'm really interested, kind of again back to the idea of just doing something. But when was it clear to you that each stage it was like time to do the next thing? Because I think a lot of people get hung up on that too, is like they want to scale something and they're so worried about like the timing of it. Mm-hmm. So what was it for you that was like, okay, now, I'm gonna turn this collection into selling online, and then now I'm selling online, I'm gonna grow these social channels, and now I'm gonna open a store. I know you kind of mentioned that from the beginning that was kind of a dream in the back of your head to have a store, but how did you know, like, all right, now's the time to take the next step?
Yeah, so I collected in a way that I knew I was going to do this eventually. So my personal collection, I would just buy any single thing that I didn't already own if I could get it for less than 30% of current market value. So I collected in a way knowing I was going to do this. But yeah, there was a couple turning points. So when it went from just buying to collect to buying in bulk and selling parts of it off, that was when there was a big boom in the prices for retro gaming. I couldn't afford to just buy the stuff normally. I had to make an adjustment to be able to continue to collect. So that was the first part of starting to sell online. And that would have been around when the song Thrift Shop came out.
Okay.
So
that was actually such a huge thing though. Cause before,
yeah,
man, I've told this story so many times, but there's such an obvious difference in the clientele in thrift stores before and after that song came out.
Yeah.
It became a cool thing to do.
I can attest to that because I've thrifted since I've been literally 4 or 5 years old with my mom. And it was like, I grew up very poor and on food stamps and welfare and stuff like that. And so like, that was the type of people in the thrift stores, or people that can afford new clothing, the new things. And so you would just hit and get lucky and find a Nintendo game here and there, or a whole system with multiple games and controllers and all the components. Like, it was just for $30, and you would just like, that would be pretty normal. Well, nowadays, like Goodwill and these thrift stores, they actually don't even set out consoles or games on the shelves. They send them to essentially an eBay store, but a Goodwill online, and they market them to 10 times what they're worth. And then they're just like untouchable, and you can't, afford to find these things. And so that's like still like such a frustrating feeling when I go into a thrift store and I see just like 10, 20-year-olds that are just looking for something to flip on Mercari or online and make a quick buck. And they just, dude, it's never going to be the same. It sucks.
No.
I'm like the old guy that like, back in my day, I remember thrifting was fun, and I could find, I found Super Smash Brothers for 64 for 50 cents. I think I told you that last time I was on.
Yeah.
But like that will never happen again unless I hit like a garage sale that old grandma has a box full of, kids' games that, here's a whole box for $20. Like,
Yeah.
but that's the day I'm still.
Those grandmas
They're still around.
They're
they
still
sold it.
around.
They're still out there.
But they sold it to someone else 20 minutes ago.
Exactly. I was just, not to backtrack or talk about that, but I was just garage selling this weekend, and I told these guys, I sent them a video or a picture of a garage sale. This cute old Filipino lady. She's like, I was like, do you have any video games, ma'am? And she's like, I had a whole Atari with all these games and all these controllers. And I had one of those Nintendos with a whole box full of games. And my husband sold it to this gentleman he let it go for like $20. And he said, you just take the whole thing. And I was like, why are you telling me this, lady? I'm just dying inside. I'm dying inside. I literally couldn't even just continue on my day without texting them and complaining because I was just so.
We got a voice, an audio message.
But I even sent an audio message, which is just ridiculous. But the funny thing is she goes, "Don't worry, that'll happen to you someday."
Legend.
I was like, dang, dog. And I was like, I received that, and I'm going to the next garage sale.
That's right.
I never thought. I guess I was a little young when Thrift Shop. Is that the name of the song?
Yeah.
I guess you just said like that made a really pivotal change in the whole thrifting community. I really never thought about how that song like impacted a whole like way of life now as we know it, essentially.
Yeah, they made it seem cool, and they like essentially the whole music video, they're thrifting, and they're putting, he's wearing a fur coat, and he's like trying different stuff on and making it feel like it's a cool place to be. Like you can find a diamond in the rough, which is literally what the point is. And so it's never been the same.
Wow. So Chris, would you say, I think that like with a lot of this stuff, you know, we did Pokemon cards for some time. I can't remember if we weren't still doing that when we chatted last time, but we went like hard into trying to collect Pokemon cards in like the height of 2020.
Yeah, because
or 2021 when like
Bored.
you had to stand outside of Target for 6 hours to get a single like ETB. And I just always remember like, man, if we had gotten into this 9 months prior, like it would be such a better time to do it. And so do you feel like with retro gaming, because you've been doing it for so long, like do you feel like you got into it at the right time? And I guess maybe as a second component to that, like if someone right now in a really difficult time maybe to get into retro gaming wanted to get into it, what would you tell them?
Sorry, just a clarification on the question. Do you mean collecting or do you mean like selling?
Both maybe,
because both there's a different answer. For
okay,
each.
well let's do collecting first and then reselling.
That's great.
Yeah. So collecting, it would be it's going to depend on how much money you have, to be honest. But if you're looking to like collect on a budget, it's finding those consoles that are at a good price point and collecting for those. So right now is like original Xbox is pretty good. PS4, it's one generation behind is typically pretty good because that stuff is pretty cheap. But if you were to talk to me 2 months ago, I would say 360 is amazing to collect for because it's so cheap. But over the past 2 months, it's just went absolutely insane because they're shutting down the digital store. People are panic buying in lieu of that. And then when the digital store does close down, which is in July, it's going to go absolutely haywire. We're talking like increases that I've never seen before.
Wow.
We're talking about a $30 game going from a $30 game to over $200 literally overnight.
Wow.
And I've never seen that. Normally it's a slow increase. It's like,
sure.
And it's 2 generations behind. It's those people when they have extra money and they want to relive their childhood, they start to buy the consoles that they grew up with. And then it's just a slow increase. But man, what's happening with 360 right now is absolutely insane.
Wow.
Dang, that's nuts.
Sorry, I was just going to say, had you have done that, like what I had talked about, buying into the consoles that are relatively cheap, if you had done that, 6 months ago, man, you were laughing now.
Wow.
You would have like tripled up.
Yeah, I would never have thought that. I have a sealed 360 at my house, so.
Really?
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Wow. Hold on to that bad boy
Hold on
for
to
20 years.
You know how I got that though? It wasn't like I went to a garage sale and got it for 15 cents.
Yeah.
It was actually my in-laws. Thank God they own a storage unit. It's a very small, like multi-unit place in Sioux City, but it occasionally somebody doesn't pay their rent for multiple whatever, and they shut down, and legally they own everything in the unit. And there's always trash. I mean, it's never like something worth anything. But this one time, I get a text from my father-in-law, and he's like, "Hey, these worth anything?" And I'm like, "Not really, but I'll take them." Because he's like, "Should I post these on Facebook and sell them?" And I was like,
No, you don't want those, but I do.
You're like, no, $5.
Yeah.
$5. Take my $5.
But it's kind of sick because he was like, "No, you can have them. It's totally fine." But there was two controllers sealed and in a full like 360. I think the seal's actually broken. I actually haven't opened tried to pull it out because I was nervous that it was actually still sealed. But it was kind of dusty and stuff because it wasn't in a bag or box, but still kind of cool. And now that you're saying that it's going up, I guess that's kind of rad.
Yeah.
So, but it's if you're trying to save, like, pinch pennies and save money and still be able to collect, because it's such an expensive hobby when you get into like early Nintendo stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's just finding those consoles that are relatively affordable. Like I said, original Xbox is pretty good. Sega Genesis is good. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head ones that are cheap. PS4, Xbox One is like dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Everybody's digital on Xbox One. Nobody wants to buy physical. I hardly even carry them in the store. Physical Xbox One games because no one's buying them.
Wow. So where do you source? I guess to kind of jump to a totally different lane now. I know you said, starting a brick and mortar store, your inventory comes to you. Are you still out hunting? Do you look online or shop eBay or go to garage sales or anything like that anymore? Or do you just kind of let it come to you?
I do, because not everything comes in.
Right.
It's a lot of the same stuff. So it's not very often that a huge box of Super Nintendo games is going to walk in the door. You know what I mean? So there's particular consoles that aren't really coming in very often, but they're high demand. So NES, Super Nintendo, N64, GameCube, and PS1 would probably be the ones that I would go out of my way to try and find.
Yeah.
Facebook Marketplace, yard sales. I still go to thrift stores and pawn shops. Pawn shops are still pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Good to know. I never go to pawn shops.
Yeah. Other than that, sorry, go ahead.
No, I said I never try pawn shops, so that's good to know.
Yeah, pawn shops are good. Like I found a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for Xbox at a pawn shop the other day. It's like a $200 game, and I got it for like $10.
No kidding.
That's a sick game too.
Yeah. I would the thing about me, just because I'm not into, I would just never know what I'm looking at.
That's the most intimidating part is like having the knowledge of what game. So, okay, for instance, this is cool because there's a thrift store here in town. They're awesome, but they're shutting down, which is super sad because they got flooded. All their inventory is just ruined. Anyway, but they had a list, like this black book in the back that they would put you on a list and they would actually call you if stuff came in. They don't do that.
I'm on one of those actually. There's a local thrift store here.
Yeah.
And I'm like anytime video games come in, the manager will call me,
which is sick. So awesome when that happens, when businesses will allow that, because a lot of times they wouldn't. But anyway, I was on this list and I'm actually looking at one of the games that I got on this wall behind Trev, but it's Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for NES.
Nice.
So you can get Punch-Out, but the Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was worth like way more, which I had no idea, but I got it in like a bin of 5 or 6 games, and that game is like worth like $50, and I had no idea. I just got the whole bin for like $20 or whatever. So
yeah, the non Mike Tyson is like 25 Canadian. I actually sold the Mike Tyson one like 2 days ago in store.
Nice.
I sold a copy of it.
It's sick.
I think I sold it for $67 Canadian.
Let's go. Come on.
Sick.
That's awesome.
So was there sorry, I feel like I'm jumping all over the place. Back to kind of realizing this dream. Was there a point where you were just like, man, this might not actually happen? Did you hit any roadblocks that big?
Finding the property for sure. And going through like 58 real estate agents.
Yeah, you weren't really, you were pretty upset with the first lot.
I was upset with the first 5, yeah.
Yeah, I think the most emotional videos that you posted were the ones when you were really pissed off about the real estate agents.
Yeah. They just weren't showing you what you wanted, or what?
It was tough because I'm renting, right? So they're going to make not much money on me. And I totally get it.
Sure.
They're going to be more focused on the stuff that's going to make them more money. But it's also frustrating as like someone in my position who, you want someone to give you their full attention. And it's just, I came to terms with the fact that just wasn't going to happen as a renter. But that was the struggle with going through all the real estate agents until I found one that was able to, be semi-competent. Yeah. He actually was. He was good. In case he's watching this,
the 49th one was good.
Yeah, honestly,
was online always part of the equation, or was that just kind of a no-brainer in the time we live now to like execute this?
As far as
like selling online,
yeah, but I mean like with opening the storefront, or just in general. Yeah, opening, like the journey to opening the store, yeah. So, I started doing it online full time. So it was just the only thing that made sense when COVID was happening. It was the only thing that I could do from home, right? Without having to, meet with people and sell stuff on Facebook or whatever. So it's just, it was what made sense at the time.
Okay.
To dive into that like full on. Actually, when I was going to open the store, or when I was leading up to opening the store, I thought about cutting out online sales, and that was probably like the dumbest thing I ever thought of. I was so frustrated with eBay because a lot of my online sales are through eBay, and they're very buyer friendly. They don't really protect the seller in a lot of situations. I don't know if any of you have sold on eBay, but oh my goodness,
just like
it is
one-off things.
It's a nightmare. So they always will side with the buyer. It doesn't matter what happened. Like the buyer could have bought a $400 game, taking a video of them snapping it in half, and then saying, "Oh, this doesn't work. Give me full refund." And eBay's like, "Yep, pay. You gotta pay
give them a refund.
Wow. Yeah, I think I've maybe tried to sell something on there one time, and then when I saw they take like 30%, I was like, nope,
Yikes.
not gonna do that.
Yeah, what percentage of your sales, just ballpark, is online versus in store?
I would say that, and going into opening the store, I thought that the online was going to continue to be the front runner, but it's not. I would say that
Really?
probably 40% online, 60% in store.
Okay.
As far as like total value.
Yeah.
Sure.
And is that, do you think because people want to see these things before they purchase, check the quality or whatever, or why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine. I wouldn't know either.
I actually don't know.
Just curious. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the shop and the online, what kind of website are you do you have like a Shopify account, or what's your website built on? Kind of some of the technicals, and then I want to talk about how you keep inventory updated, keeping things priced, keeping things, you have multiple drop downs, multiple consoles, multiple games and items on your site. How do you keep that updated, and just the process of running that online store versus and the brick and mortar?
Sure. Yeah, this is a good question. I haven't answered this one before. It's all through Shopify, but I was able to fully revamp my website. There's a government grant. It's called CDAP.
Okay.
It's for companies that had been in business over, I believe it was over a year, had at least one employee, and you get $1,500 to put towards digital marketing, or like your website or whatever.
Yeah.
So I applied for the grant. I got the grant, and then I put most of that money into just paying a web developer who is a friend of mine. His name's Liam, and he fully redid the website, nailed it.
Yeah.
Sick.
But I was able to use that grant money during the time of opening the store when I had no money,
right,
to be able to revamp the website. And as far as keeping things updated, it's actually connected to my eBay store. I have a virtual assistant that's connected to Shopify. So anytime that I post something on eBay, it automatically just gets posted to
love it
Shopify. And then there's what's the word I'm looking for? There's like keywords that if it comes up, it'll go into the proper category.
Okay. Awesome.
So for example, if it was an Xbox game, the specifications would be it has to have the word Xbox in it, and it can't have the numbers 360 in it. So it wouldn't put the 360 games in the Xbox category.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Love that.
Nice. So that's automated. That's sick.
And then as far as in store, keeping track, everything's marked that's online. So there's like a red dot. I wish I could show you. I don't have anything in. Oh, hold on. So like this, for example, it has a red dot on it, which means it's listed online.
Hold it in front of your phone one more time instead of your computer.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Where's the
So
red
see
dot?
there's a red dot.
Yeah, on the tag.
Oh, by the B?
Yeah.
Okay, I see it.
So if somebody comes to check out with something and it has a red dot, then I know that it's listed online, and my POS system is linked to my Shopify. So I would just like punch in the title of the item, and it would come up on my inventory on the POS system. But if it didn't have a red dot, I would just punch it in manually and punch in the price manually.
Got it.
And then and then last thing, sorry, when it gets bought in store, it'll automatically take it off of eBay and the website.
Nice.
That's
Yeah,
brilliant.
that I can imagine that would be an absolute nightmare to manage manually.
Yeah.
So do you have, I guess probably the answer is no, because you put stickers on things that are on the web, on the online store, but I guess how do you designate what goes on the online store that's in your shop? Or is it just a matter of like, we haven't gotten to certain things yet? Or do you pick certain things to go on the online store?
Yeah, that's a good question too. I don't post anything that's top shelf on the website because I don't want it to sell fast. It's more important for people to come in the store, see a really cool wide range of really neat stuff.
Yeah.
That's more important to me than, selling something for $100 online,
Right.
like overnight. Cause when you list stuff online, it's just, it sells pretty quickly. Right.
Sure.
And especially with high demand,
Yeah.
low, like stuff that's not very common.
Yeah.
will sell pretty quick. So I don't put anything that's top shelf online unless I have duplicates. If I have duplicates, then I'll put some top shelf stuff online. And then consoles that the games don't come in very often, I kind of hold off on those, and I only post the duplicates for those consoles. Like for NES, Super Nintendo, N64, GameCube, anything that's listed online, I have multiples of. Anything that I don't have multiples of is not listed online. It's just in the store.
I love that. Just that you're creating a really awesome experience that for you takes priority over just making a quick buck off of an item. I think that's really cool. And I would love to hear like, what was your approach or mindset, even as you're designing like the physical layout of the store? And I'm sure we can, see a lot more of that in the daily vlogs, but how have you tried to create that experience where these people come into your shop and they're just like, whoa, like this place has the coolest stuff, the layout of it. I mean, I can see it right now. Like it's completely full of stuff that looks amazing. Everything is organized well. So maybe walk us through your approach as you were actually designing like the physical layout of the store and the experience and the journey that you wanted your customers to go on as they walk into your store.
Right. So I just thought of it as like, because I've been a collector for my whole life, and I've been going to retro video game stores for as long as I can remember. So I just set it up in a way that I know that as a customer, I would be blown away by, right? A lot of unique picture opportunities was very important, because social media is such a big thing, right? So it's like all of these different aspects that people can take pictures of or talk about, even just because word of mouth is also bigger than a lot of people realize in this day and age. But we have like the graffiti piece at the back. It's a picture wall that was important. Like the bringing in the McDonald's kiosk, all just like really cool things that people see and they're like, oh, that's neat. And then having it super organized, because with a lot of retro game stores, they're not organized at all. It's like a huge mess. It's just bins of stuff everywhere. And there's nothing that frustrates me more as a consumer going into a store and not being able to like find what I want.
Yeah, I think that sets you apart as far as business owners. When I think of like maybe other retro game stores or things like that, is like you can tell they love kind of what they're doing, but they don't care to be excellent at the logistics of it. And it really affects them as far as a business standpoint goes, because it just feels like if your passion for games is not as big as theirs, then it just looks and feels not legitimate or messy, and it's just a bad experience. So I think that's an incredible example from you and to other business owners, whether it's in the same niche or not, is when you can care about what you're doing, but also how you're doing it and provide excellence in both spaces. That takes that adds the intangible stuff to your business that I think really legitimizes it for other people.
Yeah. I think
I just want to touch.
Go ahead, Chris.
Sorry, I just wanted to touch. I wanted to touch on what I said. I'm not trying to say that stores that are set up in that way are like not good.
Sure.
I don't want to sound like I'm like trying to talk down to stores that are like that, because some people like that. Actually, some people, it feels more like a treasure hunt, right?
Sure.
It's just not what I as a customer like. But I'm sure there's customers that do like it that other way. I just wanted to, I didn't want it to sound like I was,
sure.
Yeah.
Talking trash.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I shouldn't say what I was going to say.
No, say it.
Austin does want to talk down.
No, I can't. I can tell you care about the customer experience. I care about the customer experience from being a business owner as well as a consumer. And I feel like another thing that I've seen in many just collectible stores in general, just like what Trev said, is you can tell they care deeply about the hobby and the what they're putting on display and things like that. But one thing I feel like really lacks in a lot of cases is the customer experience, the customer service specifically. I've walked into card shops before that like I spent.
Don't even know if anyone's there.
No, like there's somebody behind the counter, but like I got no greeting. I felt like an outcast. I really felt like I wasn't even welcome there.
You almost feel like you're offending them for
Yeah,
asking
like
if they can see a card.
Yeah, it's
Hey,
like
can I
I'm
please see
bothering
that?
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
That's for real.
and I would imagine, you mentioned you were a DJ prior to this, so like you kind of have to have people skills to be a good DJ.
Yeah.
And so I think that's another thing that, I would imagine just sets you apart is not only, you can classify the group of nerds and generalize that a lot of nerds, don't have really awesome people skills. And so I think it's a cool combination that you have of like being a nerd, but also being personable and
Did you just call my friend a nerd, dude?
Yeah, I did.
Dude, we're all
I'm outta here.
Hey, that's
He is a nerd.
We're
that's
all
a compliment. I can say that.
That's facts,
but-
though.
Yeah, he's got that card back there.
Yeah.
Oh, the
That
Avatar, the PSA 10.
PSA 10
Yeah,
right
dude.
there,
There you
baby.
go.
First edition.
First edition
Yeah.
PSA
He's
Avatar.
talking to his fellow people.
I can't get
Yeah.
first edition Pokemon, so I had to go with something I could actually get. But I guess I'm just curious, kind of along those lines, maybe not. What are you the one person, like what do you have as far as team, as far as staff? So I know you said you have a virtual assistant.
Yeah.
But as far as in the store,
Yeah.
what do your people kind of structure look like?
In store, it's like it's mostly me.
Yeah.
My girlfriend helps out sometimes. I have a repair guy on staff who's offsite, so we offer repairs, and he's local, very like a 5-minute drive from here, which is amazing.
Sick.
I'm
That's
so
really
happy
cool.
I
Yeah,
connected
it's a
with
big
him.
plus.
Yeah.
So yeah, we offer repairs, and I'm able to just drop stuff off to him, and he'll work his way through it at his own pace, and that was a nice thing that we were able to add.
That's great.
I do have a couple, like they're more volunteers, like there's no other employees that are being paid, but there's other people that are helping out
Mhm.
just because they're interested in the store, and then they just want to help out, which is sick for me because
Yeah,
I don't
that's
have to
cool.
I don't have more overhead.
Right.
So there's like 3 different guys. There's one high school kid who will come in sometimes like when he's done school and he's like, hey, I can help out today. And I just put him to work cleaning and testing systems. There's another customer, his name's Al. He comes and helps me at the shows if I need an extra hand, and he just likes being there, and he's able to get free access to the show as having a staff pass or whatever.
Mm.
And then there's a guy who's going to be starting next Thursday, helping out once a week, doing similar stuff, just testing and cleaning.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
How did you, I guess, was that just kind of a need with the repair guy specifically that you saw this being a consistent need among your customer base, and then you had a friendship or a relationship built with somebody that did that, and then it just made sense to bring them on? Or what did that look like? So I would imagine you didn't have that with just the online store. That was something that's specific to the in-person location. Yeah. How did that kind of all come about?
I bought something from him on Facebook Marketplace. He came into the store and we started chatting, and I was like, oh, you want to see some of the stuff that I have in the basement? Because he told me that he did repairs. So it started with me offloading a bunch of my broken stuff to him for cheap because he likes to buy stuff broken and fix it. And then I was like, well, instead of me selling you all this stuff, why don't you just fix it for me and so I can sell it? And he said, yeah. And then we started doing customer intakes like 2 months into opening.
That's awesome.
That's rad.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, are there any other shops like in Toronto that offer that type of service and like have the comprehensive range of, product, repair, service, like the things that you provide? Is there anything else out there, or is that kind of a differentiator for you?
There is one of my good friends. His name's Marcus, and he helped answer a lot of questions. He works at another game store right around the corner from here. He does repairs, and he works for a competing store. So I know they offer it.
Got it.
I don't know about any of the other places, to be honest. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, what's like what's like the experience that I'm gonna get when I walk into the door of Moonshine Gaming? Like, what's gonna, like, if it's just you, or if it's you and your girlfriend or some other people that are helping volunteering, like what's like the culture, what's the feel, what's the vibe? That's my first question. The second question, I have a second one, but you can answer that one first.
We just try, like, we greet everybody who comes in, obviously, and we just talk to them as if we're friends, and we are friends with all of our customers. Yeah. So it's very comfortable, and the layout is not too, what's the word I'm looking for? Overwhelming. Initially, we were going to have, you see how on this side it's like one long row?
Yeah.
We were going to have this mirrored on the other side, and that would not have been very, you know, what was the word I just used? I can't even remember. Yeah, it would be overwhelming. It's like a gauntlet, right? You feel like you're in Pawn Stars.
Yeah.
So that's why we ended up going with this layout, because it was a lot more user friendly and felt a lot more inviting coming in. But no, it's more of just like, we're friends with everybody who comes in here. We all love games. So if you come in here, there's people who will spend 2 hours in here and we're just chatting about stuff. And that's like one of my favorite things about this job, is meeting people who love the same things I do and making new friends, really.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. And the other thing that I was really curious about is, as you're saying these crazy inflation with, you know, Xbox 360 or Xbox One or, you know, or whatever, you have all these products behind you. How do you maintain the pricing structure for a game that maybe was $20 today, but $200 tomorrow? And how do you maintain that structure of pricing where you're not just a museum where people come and look and can't afford, but also be competitive pricing where a collector like me wants to go buy a game from my childhood, but I don't want to pay $1,000. It's just untouchable. But how do you still make money? So kind of, with that jammed in there, like all of that stuff, how do you kind of maintain a good, fair pricing structure and also maintain, you know, what do you have and the value that it's fluctuating all the time?
Right. So typically when I put stuff out, it won't immediately go online, even if it's something that I know is going to go online. So it'll end up getting priced twice.
Okay.
When it first initially goes out on the shelf, and then when I get to a point, which is probably like a month or two down the road, where it goes online, it gets repriced. And I used to do every month 5% off online. And I'm going to start to bring that back. So every month, the price of everything in the store that's a month old will go down 5%. I won't actually reprice everything individually because I just don't have the time to do that. But a lot of times people will like bring something up and it'll actually be $5 cheaper than the price tag. And that's awesome as a customer, right? You're like, yeah, it's super cool.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
And then as far as prices going up on stuff, it's only stuff that I would know went up.
Sure.
If somebody buys something that's $20 lower than it's worth, like I'm obviously going to honor that price. And again, I probably bought it at a fraction of that price anyways. So it's a win-win for everybody. I'm still making my margins on it and the customer is happy getting a really good deal on something.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that because again, a lot of times when I'm going, there's this one place called Good Bites. It's a Goodwill like section where they actually sell electronics here in town. And so I go there all the time, or I used to, and everything, I mean, it could be like the most scratched disc, no complete inbox, and they want $74.99 for this like blockbuster, overly used Mario Party 6 on GameCube. And you're just like, this is psycho. Like, this isn't even sort of like, I leave mad and I leave like just so pissed off, and clearly I'm still pissed off, but it's just one of those things where I'm like, this is just not cool. So I was just curious because I've been to other stores where again, it just feels like a museum and everything's untouchable and there's no way I'm going to be able to, you know, budget for something like this. But as a hobbyist and as somebody that loves collecting, I was just curious on that front of how do you maintain a good fair price, but also still make your margins, which I love that you seem like you have a great system for that. And you obviously price your things fairly. So that's great.
Yeah. Do you have people try and negotiate with you at all?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
If somebody comes up and something is like clearly like was priced a long time ago and was way above, I'll just go down to what it should be. And if people are, if you know, regulars, a lot of my regulars, I just give them 10% off because they're a regular, like automatically.
I love that.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah, like I'll go down on stuff, and you know, if people are paying cash, I'll save the tax. Justin Trudeau doesn't need to know about every transaction, so.
That's good.
But no, if somebody comes up and like something is clearly not priced correctly, yeah, I'll price adjust it just on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now for some nerdy stuff. just because it'll be fun for me and
Let's go.
maybe for everyone else.
Yeah,
But-
same.
All right. So favorite game system of all time.
Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Super Nintendo.
That's the right.
Okay,
For our
forgive me
listeners,
for
that's
even
the
asking.
right answer.
Forgive me for even asking what, because we get into the retro gaming, and when you say a console, I picture a controller.
Oh,
So
sure.
what controller is Super Nintendo?
It's
Is that the
The
rectangular
oval one.
it's the oval
Oh.
one, which
The oval.
I don't have one hanging in here, which is silly
What
because I actually
games
use them.
do we play on?
That's-
I know it.
That's NES, right?
That's NES, correct?
I know. What it
64
is.
is that one.
Okay.
I can picture it now. I got it.
There's a whole box of control. Oh, there's one literally
This is-
right in that controller.
It's
Or in
this
that
one.
Purple one?
That's the
one.
system.
Okay.
Look at me. Look at me.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Yeah, I see.
You just
I see.
have it. But the controller, if you
It does-
if
to
Austin,
Chris,
if you
to
want to grab
you,
that.
It doesn't look like I'm
Is it
looking at
this
you,
one?
Ooh,
but I
let's
am.
here. Just grab that whole.
Wait,
whole
not
bin.
this one.
Grab that whole bin.
Okay.
This show.
Here, just
has
bring it on over. We're gonna play a
We're
game
in
with Trev.
shambles.
Oh, I see it.
We're gonna play a game with Trev. Hey, here it is.
Yes, that's the one I was
So this,
picturing.
this is the controller.
Yep, it's
Okay.
great. Love
for,
that.
for our viewers.
Super Nintendo.
And this one's N64, right?
This is
Yep.
N64
That's
right here.
GameCube. Okay.
This is my original from when I was in fifth grade.
64.
And
That
I-
one
How
always-
loose is that stick?
Honestly, it's not that bad for
You
being.
mustn't have been playing Mario Party very much then.
Yeah, no, I didn't play a lot of Mario Party. I don't think I had that game until like later on.
That's great. Okay, sorry to interrupt with that fiasco. I just
that's just
really
Freaking Mad Cats.
was not sure.
Sorry, you're probably just looking at. Oh no, never mind.
Okay, so favorite system of all time, Super Nintendo, which is
Okay.
so good.
Yeah.
Top 3 games of all time on that particular system.
Oh, on that console. Donkey Kong Country #1.
Yeah,
The first one, which I
Yeah.
get a lot of flack for because most people consider the second one the best, but I like the first one better.
really?
Yeah. And then #2 is Super Mario World.
Yes.
Okay.
Shouts
Shouts
out.
out.
#3 is Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger.
Yes.
I don't know if I've ever played that game.
It's
The
a Japanese RPG.
Okay. Interesting, because the first 2 are like 2 of my favorite of all time.
Yeah.
So yeah, the third one,
I had
I'm
heard
gonna
of
have to
those.
try it.
It's good. It's
Is
real
it
good.
like is it some game that's like super rare and like $1 million?
It's not rare, but it is pretty expensive
Sure.
on Super Nintendo. It's probably like around like 200 Canadian.
Okay.
That's just off the top of my head. I might be a little bit off, but yeah, it's more than
Sure.
100 for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do
Interesting.
you have a greatest game of all time across all consoles?
That's such a hard question because
knew it would be.
there's
That's
so
why I didn't
many
put it.
different. It depends on what the rating scale is. If it's
Mhm.
like one that moved me the most, that would be different than one
Oh.
that is most nostalgic to me because most
Yeah.
nostalgic would be Donkey Kong Country. One that moved me the most would probably be Journey for PS3. One that
Okay.
has the best replayability or would be something else, which I haven't thought about that one, but it's, you know,
Sure.
it depends on the category,
Yeah.
but would either be Donkey Kong Country would be most nostalgic. One
Okay.
that moved me the most would either be Journey or, we'll come back to that one because there's another one
Okay.
that I saw off the top of my head.
Okay.
But my favorite development team is From Software, which is Dark Souls,
Yep.
Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring. That company can do no wrong. Honestly, they're so good.
Darren's trying to play you Donkey Kong soundtrack right now.
David Wise, that's the name of the guy who made all the soundtrack.
Really?
So beautiful.
He's so good. From Software holds a very special place in my heart. Bloodborne, Elden Ring. That company is amazing.
I can't play those games, man. They're too
Why?
grindy, and I also I grew up in the golden age of MMOs, so playing a single player game like that is really lonely for me.
You a WoW guy?
No, I played Guild Wars for like 8 years.
I thought we were gonna say RuneScape, and I was
No.
RuneScape, dude.
Did your dad play RuneScape though?
Nope.
Oh.
No, I grew up on like Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights,
Oh, yeah.
like OG RPGs.
I don't know what any of these words mean.
Played Fallout 1 and 2. Those were amazing. And then Bethesda got involved. And
Bethesda's. It's too bad what happened with them.
what happened with Bethesda?
Or sorry, Blizzard. I was thinking Blizzard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But anyways, Yeah, the Dark Souls games, I don't know. It's too grindy, too tough for me, I think.
I think you just need to put in the time and get good.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice. Cool. Well, last fun and exciting question. It's kind of a two-part, but most expensive and rare game that you've had at any point, which maybe just what's the most rare and expensive game that you have currently just in your collection? And then the second part would be what's the most rare or expensive thing that you've seen through the shop or somebody that brought in?
This is funny actually, because it relates back to the last time that we chatted and the last time that I was on with you guys. So you asked me the same question back then. I don't know if you remember.
No, I do. I didn't know if you had like a new updated rarity.
No, listen. So it was the Clay Fighter cartridge, right?
Yes. Yep.
Now I have it complete in box, which like 10x's its price.
Wow.
Just crazy.
Wait, so did you buy the box and booklet after, or how did that happen?
I got it in a big lot.
Wow. Someone just had it complete in box.
Yeah. And I actually didn't know that it was included. I picked up a bunch of stuff and like it was all boxed up, and then I got it home and I went through it and it was like in there.
Did you freak out?
Like, damn. Yeah. I freaked out big time. Dude, I was shaking. Like it was crazy. It's like, that's like something that will never happen again. And for it to be like added for basically nothing is insane. Yeah. So I said to myself, if when I do sell it, I still have the information of the person who sold it to me. I'm gonna go and give them like a couple $1,000.
Oh, that's cool.
So what is that game worth? I'm just curious.
It's about 10K raw.
Wow.
No kidding.
Wow. You're talking complete in box?
No. That's
just
complete. Like raw as in like not graded.
Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Wow.
So it's complete in box. It's got the box. It's got all the inserts, the manual,
Why is it? Why?
It was a Blockbuster rental exclusive. So you could only buy it after Blockbuster rented it out. You couldn't buy it new anywhere.
Oh,
wow.
And the biggest thing is the boxes and the manuals got destroyed. The manual is the most expensive part. The manual is $7,000.
Oh, what?
6 or 7. And then the box is like,
would you have to like probably work at a Blockbuster at that time to even have a box?
Probably. Yeah.
Like
I don't
camp
like
out
most
by the
of them,
dumpster.
because a lot of them would just throw the box out and then they would put it in a clamshell, like a plastic clamshell to rent it out, because they weren't giving you the box when you rented it out.
Yep.
And a lot of times sometimes the manual would be in there too, but 9 times out of 10 the manual got destroyed by some kid.
What are manuals even for? Never read a manual one time.
I mean, they just have all the instructions on, ask Austin, he reads them.
He's a big manual
I
guy.
actually never read game manuals.
What did you read on the way home when you bought a new game though?
I don't know. I never was like one to buy strategy guides or read strategy guides or any of that.
I just looked at the pictures on the back of the case. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be sweet. Yeah, it's gonna be sweet.
It's gonna be sweet. Yeah, I just recently got back into like Nintendo Power magazines.
Sick.
Just like reading them, and like I hung up a bunch of the posters that are in the middle, but I just like reading through every page, every ad is like speaks to my childhood. So I really, but it's even tough to find those. I've never found one ever like out in the wild. I've just always just
Nintendo Powers.
Yeah.
You got to take a trip to our store. We got a whole section of them.
Dude, we've been saying we need to come to Canada.
Yep.
Yeah, I've never been there. I would love to go.
Same.
I've only been there once.
Shout out to the Edmonton Oilers for making the Stanley Cup this year. Sorry about your Maple Leafs. No. Just, I just cheer for.
I'm not a Maple Leafs fan though.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
No, dude.
Oh, well, I just figured you're in Toronto, so
I can only have my heart broken like 58 times, not 59.
That's fair.
Okay.
Sick. Well, let's move into some encouragement time, shall we?
Let's
Encouragement time.
All right, welcome to encouragement time. We love this segment of the pod because we get to encourage you. Hopefully you're encouraged. I always leave encouraged, but today Chris is going to encourage us in encouragement time.
Yeah.
Hit it, Chris.
I'm just going to say that if you have a dream, go for it and don't even think about how you're going to do it, because if you think about it, you won't do it. That's pretty much all I can really think of. Just go for it
Yeah.
without fear. Do whatever you can to make it happen, and as long as the passion is there, you'll be able to achieve it.
That's a good word
Yep.
that people need to hear over
Yeah.
and over and over. And
I
by
need to hear
people, I mean me. Yeah. Because like I said previously, I'm not that way. I will just sit back and research and analyze for an eternity, and nothing will ever happen. So that's a great word.
It's awesome.
All right, Chris, before we ask where we can find you, get all the handles, all that good stuff, is there anything else that you want to touch on? Anything that we maybe glanced over, or anything you wish that we'd asked?
I don't really know what else. There probably is a lot of stuff. We could talk. We could talk for hours.
Right. Probably. I have one more question. It means nothing to anyone except me. Does the release of NCAA 25 mean anything to you?
It means the value of my NCAA 14s are going to dive bomb, so I better sell them fast.
Okay, got it.
Nice.
Got it. That is all.
Chris is not as excited as Trev for the release of NCAA
Yeah, I
25.
just can't believe it. I just can't believe it.
Because 14 goes for like $50 or $60 or something.
14, I think they're both over 100 because it's PS3 and 360.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
I think my PS3 one's priced at 130 Canadian right now, and then the Xbox 360 one, I can't remember. Probably around the same.
Yeah. That's all I wanted to ask. That's really, if we're talking video games, that's really my only input is that.
I'm trying to think of like what else we kind of like brushed over, or like some stuff that I think would be important. I think that this is just like, if you're going to be opening a business, it's how important social media is. And I know that's probably been drilled into your head if you're like a avid viewer of Gary Vee or anybody along those lines. But like, man, my having that social media presence and building up that social media channel absolutely changed my business in a way that I would never have thought.
That's great.
Yeah, it's cool how you did it for so long, and then it was like the whole cliche of like preparation meets opportunity, of like, you didn't decide to start a social media channel when you decided to start a brick and mortar business. Like, you'd been building this thing for years at that point.
Yeah.
And so it's just cool to see how like you did what you could for the time being, and then when it was time to move to the next step, like the work that you'd done laying the foundation and building that following, paid off, which is really, really cool. I have one more question for you, and then if there's anything else you want to touch on, feel free.
Yeah.
What does the future look like for Moonshine Gaming? What are you excited about? What's your vision moving forward?
As far as in the store, we really want to start like honing down on creating a community and starting to host some, retro game tournaments and really, really building on that community feel of the in store, like the customer base. Other than that, it's like just opening another store when we're ready. Opening another store, just expanding, because there's nothing that like stresses me out more than if you're not growing, you're dying, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you just have to continue to grow, and if you're not continuing to grow, then that's not good for your business at all.
Yeah. So how do you maintain priority on social now that you've kind of realized this brick and mortar store, and now that I imagine that's got a lot of the attention? How do you not leave the social channels in the dark?
It's difficult for sure, because it's like you're wearing so many hats, right? As a small business owner, my social media has definitely been lacking. I'm mostly active on Instagram, and it's mostly stories, which is that's what's changed. It's not reels that's more important now. It's stories, and it's updating people live with what's going on in the store. New inventory that's coming in, events that are happening. I still am doing some reels, but definitely not as much as I was before, because I don't have as much time, but I try and get like 1 or 2 up a week.
Sure.
Yeah. One last question that doesn't matter to anyone except for me. This is my turn. If there was a Nintendo 64 box with the atomic purple the box with that, with the foam inserts in pretty good condition with all of the manuals and stuff. No console, just the box, the foam inserts, and and the booklets. How much would you pay for that?
Does it have the bags?
I think it might have had the bags.
So it would have to have like the bag for the like I know you said the
like the
console isn't
plastic.
in there.
Yep, the plastic. I think everything that was in the box except for the atomic purple and gray controller and the console itself.
So it's just the box, manuals, inserts, foam, and bags.
Correct.
Probably, I would value that at like maybe like 200 Canadian.
Okay, so that's. Yeah, I just passed up. I went to a estate sale, dude, and I was just so annoyed because everything was so expensive, and there was no games or anything, but there was a Nintendo 64 box. I have an NES action set box with no inserts, but it's just hanging up on the wall, and I just think it's cool. And I see that I don't know if you have a bunch of boxes in the back or if those are actual consoles, but the 64 box, I really wanted it because I have that system. But they wanted $120 for it.
Oh yeah,
and
that's pretty close to market value, to be honest.
Yeah. So then I was like, I can't pay that much for cardboard, even though I really want it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, and they just weren't budging on it. So I didn't know if I was like, if I missed out or if it was fine.
No, that's pretty close to market value. Your best bet's probably to just try and get the box, like no inserts, no paperwork,
Okay,
no
sure.
foam. You probably get the box like just by itself for probably like $75.
Okay, got it. Noted. All of our viewers just got a lot of value from that. So if you guys need a Nintendo 64 box, you can get one.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, and then I didn't even answer your other question. Like what was the rarest thing that ever came in here?
Oh yeah, that one.
Rarity is such a hard thing to gauge. But some of the cool stuff we have in here right now, there's a Charizard branded Pokemon Center Japan exclusive Game Boy SP. I know that's a lot of words if you don't understand.
Sick. Such a great console.
In short, it was a Charizard branded Game Boy Advance SP, which was only available at the Pokemon Center store in Japan for a limited time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mercy.
So that's pretty uncommon. There's
what is that valued at?
I have it listed in store at 800.
Okay.
Austin said he'll just have it though. So
yeah, I'll take it if you want. I'll send you our address.
Yeah.
And it has the box and manual and everything in it. The box is like really uncommon.
And what was if I maybe you know or don't know, what was how did that make it to your store? Like
it was
did
a
you
trade
ask
in.
really?
No, I didn't. I didn't ask for it. It was one of my regulars just brought it in one day.
No kidding.
That's so
and you
crazy.
You didn't know how they got it?
They bought it on eBay for around the same price, but he just didn't want it. He like didn't. He knew the value. Like most people know the value of the stuff, and I'm pretty open with like I pay the same amount. It's just a percentage of what the current market value is.
Yeah,
sure.
It's not going to change. Like if I know the customer coming in doesn't know anything, it's not like I'm going to be like $20 for those 50 Super Nintendo games. Oh, they're just taking up space. You know what I mean?
Like
everybody gets the same quote, same percentage.
That's
but yeah. So he knew, and he bought it on eBay prior, a couple years prior, and he just didn't have any use for it, and he saw some stuff in the store that he wanted to put the money towards, and he tried listing it online and selling it locally, and a lot of people were wasting his time, and he just got fed up with that.
Yeah, so now you have so much access, I feel like, to people just happen to bring in stuff. We have a friend that owns a collectibles, more of a card shop, but the stuff that guy sees because of what people...
I got to tell you about or have him tell you about the haul. He had a guy bring in sealed first edition booster boxes last week.
No, he didn't.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Aren't those like $1,500 a piece?
No, they're like...
Some of them are like
hundreds of
thousands of dollars.
Oh, wait. I was thinking of the sealed starter decks.
Oh, yeah.
Those are like $1,500.
Yeah.
Yeah, those...
Anyways, he had a guy come in. They ended up... His business partner gave him like $80,000 for the collection. But
Holy...
anyways, total side note. But yeah, I think going
Holy crap.
what Darren was saying is like you see that stuff come in, which is really, really sick. And I didn't want to hijack your point. So I didn't know if there was more to that.
point was hijacked.
The point is that you just doubled down and made it even that much more valid was that opening a store, obviously, like you're getting some of the coolest stuff and you don't have to go out and search for it. Yeah, you still have to go look for the NESs and SNESs and just like some of those common high demand consoles, but the really cool rare stuff that makes your shop set apart, a lot of people are bringing that stuff to you, which is really cool. And I think it's not just because they want to get rid of it or they just want to dump it off and trade it in, but I think what you do with your social media platform, with your professionalism, with your relatability and your vulnerability out in the open on social is you're building trust with these people that will trust you with something that is very dear to them. Like bringing in that Charizard Game Boy SP Advance, like that probably was tough for him to do. But he doesn't want to just bring it to like a GameStop or like something like that where they're going to literally get $50 for it. But like they're going to bring it to someone that's given them, 70% of market value. They're going to be treated well and they're going to come back. And so I think that's just really cool. I love the whole thing that you have going on with your online and having a really great website, and it's super intentional. Having your whole system built out where it ties to the website, so your inventory is not off, or you're not, making customers angry. You're still getting what you need to keep going as a company and growing, but also being fair to your customers. So all of it is just awesome. I love what you're doing. We're huge fans of it. It's unfortunate we're far away, but we absolutely would love to come see the shop because it looks incredible. And get some
appreciate that.
Tim Hortons coffee.
I don't even drink Tim Hortons coffee.
I feel like everybody.
McDonald's all the way, baby. Come on.
Big cafes. Big cafes.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right, Chris, where can our listeners find you? Hit us with the social handles and all the juicy deets.
Sure. So we're most active on Instagram. So our Instagram is just Moonshine Gaming. Our website, which has our products available to ship worldwide, is moonshinegaming.ca. YouTube is Moonshine Gaming, and TikTok is Moonshine Gaming 88. Although I hardly ever post on TikTok anymore, but maybe I will by the time this comes out. Who knows?
Sure. Sure. Hey, can I ask really quick how you got the name? Maybe you guys talked about it in the first episode, but how did you get the name Moonshine Gaming?
You guys don't know this?
I was going to ask, but
I do
then
not.
I'm like, yeah, we're kind of too late in the episode now to start.
No, we're not.
But I'm glad that you asked because I was curious.
Started.
It was my DJ name was DJ Moonshine.
Yeah. No, he
Really?
I think he did tell us that.
DJ
I was
Moonshine.
I was a country DJ.
Oh yeah,
Sick.
That's what I'm talking about.
I love it,
Yeah.
dude.
DJ Moonshine.
He's
Little
a good
apple
old
pie-
boy.
Little apple pie moonshine.
I have no idea what's happening right now.
We just turned into.
I'm the non-country fan of the group.
Dude, you don't like anything that I like.
You know what? I'm out of
What
here.
do you like?
Austin's not coming to Canada with us.
What about RuneScape?
We need to
No, nobody likes RuneScape.
we need to find one thing that we both like.
Okay, that's our goal. We can't leave this pod until you find one thing.
No, you definitely.
Hold on.
Well,
Wait,
Avatar:
Fortnite.
Last
Do you play
Airbender.
Avatar: Last Airbender?
Chris does not play Fortnite. Yeah, no.
What
Basketball
about
though.
people think-
you like basketball.
People say like you play Fortnite and it's like a diss now because it's like only 12-year-olds play Fortnite. But I'm like, I swear I played legitimate video games. Like when they came out, like I played Diablo 1 and 2. I played Fallout 1 and 2. Like I am a gamer. Now I play Fortnite because that's what my wife plays and she'll play with me if I play Fortnite.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
I have a guilty pleasure similar to your Fortnite edition.
Yeah.
And
What's
I
that?
just got back into it again. It's Fall Guys.
Oh, nice.
Fall Guys.
I played like one round of that
I don't
game.
know
I
what that
think
is.
it's a game.
Okay, that's good enough for me.
I actually don't even know how to explain it.
Is
Oh,
that is that the
basketball,
one
though.
with like the
Wait,
little
Mario
people?
Kart. He likes Mario
Mario
Kart.
Yeah, I like Mario Kart.
There we go.
But okay, I'm not even gonna say but because
No.
we got one.
Don't ruin this.
Yeah, don't screw this
You
up.
like Mario Kart? That's
Yes.
it.
We
Do you like
found
the
one.
Bulls?
Nope,
Chicago Bulls?
nope. I'm a Lakers fan.
No.
Yeah, sorry. Hey, I like. What about Peter McKinnon?
Peter McKinnon?
Yeah,
He's Canadian.
He's a Toronto boy. He's like,
Who is he?
he's a huge, massive YouTuber, but he's in like
is
the
he
photography space. But he lives
Oh
in
no,
Toronto.
I do know who he is. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Okay. Sick. We got one.
Cool.
All right,
Mario
that's
Kart.
good enough. Mario Kart and Peter McKinnon.
Yeah. There we
Yeah.
go.
We found common
And-
ground.
And
Yes.
McDonald's.
And
And
McDonald's.
McDonald's. No. Taco Bell for life.
He is big Taco Bell.
Sick.
Awesome. Well, anything else you got for us, Chris? We don't want to take too much of your time.
Follow your dreams.
Yes.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
That's
Don't,
right.
Yes, that's yeah. Don't let your dreams be dreams. And
Just
if
do
you,
it.
If you have a dream, act on it and don't think.
Yeah. Yep.
Love it.
Awesome.
Love it.
Well, thank you everybody for listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for following along. Don't forget to subscribe if you're on YouTube, hit the bell to be notified, and leave us a rating on any podcast platform that you are currently listening on.
Yeah, if you want to follow along with what else we've got going on, you can follow us on social, on Instagram at the Glory Boys Pod.
Yeah.
We got a Facebook page, and then our company, Glory Visuals. Also, you can find us on Instagram at Glory Visuals, and check out all the fun things that we're up to.
Yeah.
And lastly, consider joining our exclusive group, Thinking Bigger. So we don't really have a Facebook page. Well, for the Glory Boys podcast, we moved it to
That's
private
true.
community. Were you talking about Glory Visuals though?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
Sorry.
yeah, for the Glory Boys podcast, if you want to be a part of our private community, it's called Thinking Bigger. We'll leave a link in the description that you can join that.
Yeah.
It's on the Collab app, and would love to have you join us in the discussion where we can, add more value and build a closer relationship with those of you that are tuning in.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's it for this episode. Chris, thanks again so much for your time.
Thanks,
We
Chris.
appreciate having you on and hearing your insights and just getting to, really get a refresh and an update on where you're at in the journey. So
Yeah.
appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me
man.
on again. It's always a pleasure and a good time chatting with you guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Yeah,
bro.
you're a pro.
Well, we'll see you all in the next episode.
See ya.
Peace.